Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions. I'm Manisha Gupta. The festive season is here and India's jewelers are hoping that the holiday cheer will reignite the demand. A lackluster year that saw exports from the US and China decline has seen the sector banking on the domestic demand to turn the things around. However, the World Gold Council's estimate that domestic demand could drop 10% to a three-year lows in 2023 could actually prove to be a dampener. So what are the jewelers as an industry expecting from the festivities? To get all of those questions answered, joining me now for that is Dileep Narayanan. He's head of bullion and treasury at Malabar Group. I'm also joined by Baby George. He's CEO at the Joyalukkas Group, and Colin Shah is managing director at Jewellery. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us, and happy festivities to you all. And there is so much hope as of now hinged on to the last quarter of this year in expectation that the festive and the wedding demand would actually pick up, and we would see all of that coming in numbers. So my first question to all of you really is on where demand stands right now and how are you looking at the rest of 2023? Colin, let me begin with you. What's your sense right now? Because I do understand that China and US aren't really the strongest of markets right now, but I also do understand that Asia seems to be doing well. Middle East seems to be picking up right now. But what's your sense on overall numbers right now from domestic markets and export as a sector?
Thanks, Manisha. So overall, our exports have been down between 25 and 30%. If you look at year to date, it's quite alarming. The level of exports will be maybe back to where we used to be pre-pandemic, and doubled with not only a lack of volume demand, but even pricing is under pressure on all our various commodities. The only bright spot in I guess our entire basket of gems and jewelry is gemstones, where we've seen a nice rise in the last few months. Domestic, we've had this. So if you look at the stock market and if you see every parameter around us, it's booming. And companies seem to be doing well. Results are very good. We are entering election year in various large states, and then of course we'll have the national election. But the demand for some reason on gems and jewelry, we've had a few weeks which are very strong, and then we have a week which is not so strong, and then again we have a few weeks which are good. So it's been a little roller coaster kind of thing. Having said that, most of the jewelers are very optimistic that the season will be strong because the number of weddings are still at a very decent level. So we are optimistic about the season ahead, but the year so far has been a little roller coaster in terms of demand.
Oh, well, absolutely. And this is, what the sector really has seen. Dileep, what's your sense? I mean, as Colin also mentioned, there's uncertainty. The direction isn't really very strong as of now. And the other asset classes have done quite well. So whether it's about, real estate, we've seen housing sales at a very high level. The equity market seems to be doing quite well. The high-end cars are doing well. So are those exotic vacations, etc. How has that impacted overall jewelry as a sector?
Yeah, I agree to Mr. Shah, as he rightly mentioned. It's been, the market has been very volatile. It's been like, I would say the demand has been very volatile. There are a few months where you see high demands, and there are a few months where it's pretty low. But having said that, I think now around the season now coming up, now festive season's up to Diwali, and from there on up to Christmas, there are a lot of events and festivities which is lined up. I think we should see some good business coming up. And as far as the gold price is concerned, it's been very volatile because we have even rupee, not supporting us that great. I mean, for the last few days, the rupee has been very volatile. So that's one of the reasons why India always gets hit, because we have, double whammy because of gold and the rupee being affected. So, but having said that, during the festive seasons, we do see very good demand. We are stocking up our retail stocks for the Diwali and then upcoming festives.
Mr. George, what's your initial comment as well? When gold is spoken about, we see physical demand as the most important one here. So there are two aspects to that as well, gold coin one and jewelry the other. And we do understand that jewelry always tends to do better than other physical ways of buying gold. How are you looking at South India? Always, of course, is a charmer there when it comes to gold buying, the numbers that is. But what's your sense on the markets right now?
See, as far as Joyalukkas is concerned, we are purely into retail of ornaments in India only. We don't have any exports as such. If you look at the first quarter, as far as our company is concerned, we have grown by around 33% during the first quarter. So every festival season was very special for us because we give special festival offers during this particular season. We are planning to have special festival offers and festival sales. From our past experience, we used to have sales of at least 8 to 10 times more than the normal average sales. So this festival season also we expect the same type of revenues across the country. So we are looking forward to the festival season for which we have made elaborate arrangements and we have planned for what type of offer we have to give it to our customers, and we have already made arrangements for procuring additional exclusive diamond ornaments and new designs of ornaments. And we are expecting a good sales for the festival season as it was done earlier.
All right, that's nice to hear that cheer onto the panel there. Mr. George, also, I mean, as you said, 8 to 10 times of an increase is what you usually see during the festival season. What do you think has changed as a buying pattern over the years? I mean, is it about designs? Is it about gemstones, diamonds, lab-growns? Is it about putting in a strong face, a celeb, a brand ambassador there, or is it the schemes that works?
See, over the years, the change, what we have observed is the demand for lightweight items and lightweight items have increased, and small pendants and diamond ornament demands has gone up. Otherwise, our major sales are coming from the wedding purchases. Around 35 to 40% of our sales are from the wedding purchases, especially in the South Indian market. We have a good market share for the wedding purchase.
Mr. George, also when you look at the buying prices, that seem to have surged quite a bit. I mean, if I look at the prices last Ganesh Chaturthi, we were at around 52,000. We're trading at 59,000 plus kind of levels right now. So the kind of jump that we've seen on a year-on-year basis, does that deter, or do you think that's a positive because people do think on what they've earned really on the past purchases?
The purchases, what we observe is the volume has slightly come down, but the maybe on account of the price rise, the volume which used to sell has slightly come down. But having said that, doesn't mean that there is a major, as far as we are concerned, last year we have grown in volumes by around 28% on a revenue growth of around 41%. So there is a slight dip in the volume, but there is still good demand for the items. That is what we have observed.
Well, absolutely. Dileep, you know, when we talk about gold, we keep talking about on how the jewelry buying is the highest. Bridal clearly takes the cake away. And then it is about diversification as well of your asset class within gold. Which one of these do you think seems to be working for the sector?
When you talk about the sale, as Mr. George was mentioning, it has definitely affected our due to the price volatility. Sale has definitely affected. But when you look at the turnover part, turnover, the price has been always moving up, and hence that the balance sheet numbers have always moved up. Coming to your coming back to terms of demand, what you have asked, the demand in festive seasons have always up by around 10 to 15%. Okay, and that is what we foresee here at this point of time also. And there are slack seasons which do come in between. Like for last 2 months we had slack season where there was not much of demand, but then all of a sudden then we saw that last month there was a huge demand which has come back again into the market.
I just want to stick on to the pricing part of it, and this one is for you, Colin. Even as the dollar index is trading at a 6-month highs, and we've seen every other market increase as well, and we do know that the smart money seems to be going into equities right now. Even with all of that happening, $1,900 per ounce seems to be holding in case of gold. I mean, obviously, going forward, there's a big debate on whether it's going to 1,800 or 2,000 on the higher side. What's your sense, one, on prices? Do you think with the kind of central bank buying and the buying that we see picking up from Asia and Middle East could be supportive for gold?
With everything we're seeing globally, our own personal outlook is that we'll see gold more north of $2,000 in a 6 to 12-month period. For the simple reason, there is inflation. It's a reality. Oil is at $90. US also will enter elections, interest rates are high. So if everything we are seeing macroeconomically continue, then gold actually is low at 1900. And we are actually wondering why it still stayed in that 1900 level. So in a 6 to 12-month period, we do see this only going up.
All right, so the gold prices are going to be supportive, and that's perhaps going to be one of the reasons for people to keep buying there as well. But gentlemen, stay on with us. It's time for a very short break. When we come back, we'll of course talk about on what age group is buying, what are people buying, and what are the latest trends. We'll understand all of that from our experts. Welcome back, and there are just so many ways of buying gold. It's e-gold, digital gold, ETFs, sovereign gold bonds. But Mr. George, this question is to you. What age group do you still see buying gold? Bridal jewelry is one part of it, but what age group would you say is interested, or are millennials coming here back as well? And what geographies for you as well seem to be doing better?
Maybe 18 to 25 group, they are buying for small items, for the daily wear items. What I said is the wedding purposes and all, there is bulk purchases which we have observed. Another thing which I wanted to point out here is why the business volumes or revenues are going up for the organized players is we are observing a huge shift of business from the unorganized to the organized sector now. So that is why everybody is experiencing good sales during last year and this year. There is a shift is taking place very fast on account of the implementation of HUID, and hallmarking has made compulsory for any items above 2 grams. It's compulsory now. So we are observing a fast shift of business from the unorganized to the organized sector.
Mr. George, also, I mean, we've seen store expansions, we've seen, more stores being opened up. Would you say that's yet another sign of expectation that the demand will continue higher?
Our policy is to have a consistent growth track record to maintain. So in our case, for a revenue growth of say 12 to 15%, we need to open 10-12 stores in a year, and we have to refurbish our existing shops. This will assure us a return revenue growth of around 15%. We are following that strategy. That is our business strategy. So if number of shops are opened, whether that is translating into more revenues, we are not sure. We are concentrating on more sales in our existing shops by giving a better shopping experience to our customers by renovating and refurbishing these shops. At the same time, we are opening 10-12 shops to ensure that we are achieving our business targets.
Another area, Dileep, is the sovereign gold bonds, and the last tranche saw a record buying. 100 tons is what we've seen being accumulated over a period of time from 2015 to 2023. I mean, this could have come in the way of jewelry as well. Do you see sovereign gold bond as a competition, or do you see that the people who are buying that is a different segment, or do you see gold being bought in any segment or any way is good news?
See, there are two things to this, Manisha. The first thing is that the gold sovereign bond, right from the start, when the government started this entire scheme, the process has been very slow, and the quantity which has formed over the years, it's like more, as you rightly mentioned, it's almost few hundred tons, and the people who are investing is in sovereign bonds. They have their own advantages and disadvantages. I mean, I feel that there are a little bit disadvantages for them because they can't encash before this 5 years term, at least minimum, getting over. So I don't find much of people moving into sovereign bond. There have been a lot of various forums in which we had discussed about this, where we should ease out this scheme little better so that the people invest more on that. But as you mentioned, anything in form of gold is always a cheer for the crowd. And I would like to repeat this that come what may during certain seasons, or especially when it comes to a marriage or a festive, there is buying of gold. That happens more in the form of jewelry and less in the form of any of the digital gold.
Well, that point is well taken. I want to come to each one of you with one question and a figure answer, if you may. Colin, first to you then. We talk about Indian demand growth and we talk about the second half of this year, the last quarter, even more importantly, and because there's Christmas and New Year as well coming in, and that spillovers to wedding season and Holi, and the gold buying continues. But what would you say is the Indian gold demand growth that we see? Because if you look at the import numbers, we continue with that 700, 800 tons. The recycled gold this year has been a headline as well.
I think, in terms of volume, if we see a 5 to 10% growth and value another 5 to 10% growth, we're looking as an industry at between 15 and 20 overall, which I guess for a consumption economy and with an industry which is competing with several other, industries for a share of the consumer's wallet is excellent. And I would just like to address one more, point over here when you came to, the sovereign gold bond thing, is if you look at our category in gems and jewelry, the fastest growing category we've seen in the last, I would say 1 to 3 years is fast fashion and lower entry level points. So that's where the consumer is really buying. And if you take any organized or unorganized jeweler, that's where he's spending a lot of money on his inventory. So we're really not competing with sovereign gold bonds as far as that is concerned, because that's been the fastest growing category anyways for our industry.
All right. Dileep, what's your sense? What's the kind of demand growth that you see for the jewelry as a sector?
As I mentioned, if you're asking me about for the next 6 months, let me talk first about the gold price, because being the bullion head, I've been very closely monitoring the market. So I feel that the price, for all good reasons, would remain at the higher levels at 1900 to 1950 levels. And rupee, I don't find any much of strengthening of rupee at this point of time. So all put together, the price should remain stagnant at this level, and maybe a little bit on a higher side in coming months. But having said that, due to the high demand during festive seasons, we are anticipating a good sale, maybe around 20 to 30% increase in our overall sale.
Okay. Mr. George, what's your sense? You've given us a number of 15 to 20% already, but what is the demand growth that you've seen in India over the years?
Yeah, as I said, the demand, if you can see the gold, as far as the organized players are concerned, we are seeing a shift of business. Probably that can be one of the major reasons everybody is recording a revenue growth of 28-30%. So this is likely to continue because some study it is said that the organized players stake is going to be around 32%. If you look at early 2000, it was hardly 2%. So whether fresh demand is coming up or not, that is the import of gold is coming down. So we are not sure whether fresh demand is emanating or not, but the organized players are doing good business, maybe on account of shift of business from the unorganized to the organized sector. That is our view.
A last set of questions, and I would want to come to each one of you for this one as well. Colin, let me start with you yet again. Gems and stones, natural diamonds, lab-grown diamonds, where are we looking a bend on?
We are not getting into this or that. It's always going to be this and that. There's going to be equal, demand for natural, lab and gemstones across the board. Our Indian consumer has become very evolved, very mature, and he or she know actually that they want a little bit of everything.
All right. Dileep, little bit of everything?
I totally agree with Mr. Shah. People are. There's quite a bit of awareness which has come in the market, and they decide on what they want to buy. So I totally agree with them.
Mr. George, would you agree with that as well? I mean, there's a bit of everything, and there's money coming in, and yes, people are experimenting.
Yes, I agree with them.
All right. Another thing, and Colin, let me come to you with this one. When we look at the kind of demand that seems to be coming in from the Indian markets and the exports as well, what are the newer markets? We've seen so many B2Bs, so many exhibitions, so many great numbers coming in from all of these. How are we approaching this?
The newest market, I would say, globally for, say, any kind of consumption, even for India, is Africa. So that's definitely, and from Dubai, especially after we've done the FTA, we are seeing all the African countries come into, some amount of prosperity after being not so prosperous for many decades. So we're definitely looking at Africa as one big market. Besides that, of course, you have the BRICS nations, which are only getting larger. And we're really hoping as an industry that besides the new markets, we need a fresh lease of life in US and China, which continue to be the main markets, but they've been sluggish over the last one.
Mr. George, what would you say is desirable in the Indian markets right now when you look at policies, the FTAs, the work that's being done?
The Indian market demand you're talking about? I have not heard.
What would you say that is desired by jewelry as an industry from where we stand?
See, jewelry as an industry is growing very well, and it will continue to grow well, at least for the next so many years. That's what I can say at this point of time, because these lot of restrictions are coming by way of what we feel is the organized players will continue to do well. The unorganized players will slightly weed out on account of all these new HUID things and all which are happening. So the demand for gold is in India is continue to be there for many years to come. That is what we feel.
Dileep, export via courier is something that we saw newly launched in. How would you read into that?
Sorry, Manisha, I didn't hear you properly. So you were asking me something?
Yes, I was asking that export via courier is yet another thing that we saw start to begin. I mean, I know the industry has a big list and ask from the regulator, from the authorities. Export via courier, how would you look at that?
Well, that's a very good new initiative by GJPC and by the government. I mean, I'm sure, since we do, we are a net, retail sale, retail and exporter also at some time. Few quantities we do export to our overseas. So this would be one of the mediums we should be looking at. I mean, maybe in the coming months will prove what kind of quantity we will be doing through that.
Well, absolutely. It's the first one and a lot of hopes hinged onto that one as well. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and thank you for spotting all of those questions very well, Colin, Dileep and Mr. George. Well, clearly all hopes hinging on to and banking onto the festive cheer that we are into right now and only grows larger in noise and in numbers as we get towards Diwali there. But with that, it's a wrap for this edition of Commodity Champions. Thank you for watching.